when I became the district attorney of Fulton County, the office was in absolute chaos, and I mean every level of chaos. On the ground, the carpet was molded and there were holes in it, and it was disgusting, a disgusting environment. There were boxes in offices, some to where you couldn't open the door. I remember walking through the office before. I told you I'd fired 50 or 60, I don't know exactly how many employees that I felt were unqualified to do this work. That doesn't mean they were bad people, but they were unqualified for the positions that they held. There were 18,000, write that down, 18,000 unindicted cases that went back 6 or 7 years that I was looking at. Not to mention another, 10,000 indicted cases in the system. Now, some that the judges had hid on judicial hold, but they were still there. So the office was in absolute chaos. And then I'm in the office I came in that Saturday, so that would have been day one. That was the day that I walked through the office. And I'm literally in the office that Monday or Tuesday, I can't recall now what day it is. And there's this phone call and the Secretary of State saying, oh, the proper venue to investigate this might be Fulton County. And so my priority became, and this is important too, there were 200 and something murders that had been sitting for years, families that had been waiting for justice for years. And so when I come to be the district attorney, my first responsibility is just getting the office properly set up. In fact, one of the most important roles I held up that I tried to find was the head of the civil rights lawyer. So when Brian Watkins walked into my office and actually interviewed to come there because he was not with the old administration, that was like a gift from God that I had a lawyer that had enough experience and would be talented enough and ethical enough and have the integrity to do this work. But my primary job was getting the entire office set up. So I immediately do things like set up a murder backlog project. I put Mike Carlson and Michael Sprinkle in charge of that. We're going to get every family's going to get an answer. They may not like the answer. The answer may be we can't prosecute this, but we're not going to sit with cases. We got to make decisions on these cases. And it took us years to get through that, but we did. And I'm happy to sit here and announce to you every one of those 18,000 cases, a decision got made on to include those 101 police cases I talked about, as well as the 46,100 and I think 36 cases that came in January 1st, 2021 till December 31st of 2024. So while people tell these lies about the DA ain't been working, I want you to find a DA working as hard as me.
My question was, when did you decide to hire outside counsel, a special assistant district attorney, for the election interference case?
When it became obvious that this case would take so much investigation to learn the truth and that I would need people that could focus on that. And although I had talent in the office that was being developed, each and every member of my staff had a priority. See, this is the most important case to you. Let me tell you what the most important case was to me. When I walked in the office, there had been 2 black children that had been killed, Sequoia Turner and Kennedy Maxwell. Those were the 2 most important cases to me as the DA. And I needed to make sure that those families got justice, but the cases didn't come with a bow on them. In fact, one of the cases was particularly not done properly. And so my priority became making sure I had the talent to make sure we got all of those cases done. If you're wondering, both those men are doing life right now for taking those children from us.
Certainly aware of the case and the autonomous zone and everything that happened back in that tragic time frame. So definitely appreciate those murderers being behind bars. So you didn't really give me a date range, but we'll just move on here. But you did consider Governor Barnes for this role. He's testified to that previously.
And let me tell you what Governor Barnes told me. Governor Barnes told me when he was the governor, he changed the state flag from the Confederate flag. And that as a result of him changing the Confederate flag to changing the flag to make it more inclusive to all Georgians, that the Ku Klux Klan sat outside his house and that he lived under threat during that time period. He told me that him and his beautiful wife had survived that, but that he was an older gentleman now. I'm going to say that nicely. He was an older gentleman, and due to the nuts that would come out of the woodwork if I was doing this type of work, that he was not at a juncture in his life where he could take those kind of security risks. He also refused to work for $250 an hour.